Okay,
My
let's see
fellow
what this guy's
farseers and
got.
shamans, the time has come for what we have wanted for a very, very long time is finally here. The Earth Mother has heard our prayers and pleas. She calls to us as the wind howls across Kalimdor, and as the drums of war thunder once again, calling us home. It is time to return to our roots, pick up our shields, and spank some Naga tail, because Classic Plus has arrived. Season of Discovery has been announced, which is essentially Classic Plus, and it comes with a whole boatload of new builds and class/role/spec combinations. Some of you have been excited about the potential for Shaman tanks to actually be a real spec to play in this.
It already is a real spec. It's been a real spec for like 20 years or whatever, man. People have been talking about it way back in the day. It's been only added and added on to like throughout the decades. I've Shaman tanked in Classic WoW, TBC, Wrath. I've made a guide on Kata. Like, they actually get a taunt in Kata, by the way. So, I mean, just, it is a actual spec. It is. It's a viable spec, not optimal. There's a difference between those two things, which people just don't seem to understand every time this is brought up about Shaman Tank. But yeah, go on.
This variation of the classic WoW client. With that excitement comes a lot of questions for the initial thoughts on builds and runes and talents and gear. So, I'm hoping to have a good grasp and loads of information readily available for you guys to soak up. Things are obviously subject to change over the course of this month and come November 30th with the launch of Season of Discovery. I'd like to initially start with a guide on how you'll be playing your Shaman tank, and then we can build upon that knowledge with later guides on other aspects of the class. So sit tight, there's going to be quite a bit of information to go over, and if you have any thoughts or questions yourself, I encourage you to leave them in the comment section down below. Like the video if you like it, subscribe for more content, and hit that noti bell. Also, please consider supporting my content further on my Patreon page and Twitch livestream page, twitch.tv/BarokoShama. All the links to everything will be in the description of the video down below. So without further ado, let's get into the guide. Runes are this game mode's new hot feature, which allows you to use new abilities that are not within the classic era game. Either they are from future expansions or completely new ideas that go with the nature and spirit of classic WoW. These new ability runes are obtained through exploring the world and its various challenges. We currently don't know where any of them are located since there is no PTR or data mining at this time, and we'll all be looking for them come November 30th, so stay tuned for more information on where to get them. With runes being easily interchangeable and hot swappable like our talent system.
By the way, how's the volume on this actually? Maybe raise that a bit.
Now, there are a lot of different combinations and gear itemizations that are going to go along with it. Here we will cover what runes you will likely want to use when tanking on your Shaman. And remember that things can change and this guide can be obsolete.
So, Way of the Earth. While Rockbiter is active, your main hand on your main hand, so it doesn't sound like you're going to be dual-willed Rockbiter. I mean, that makes sense. You want a shield. Deal 100% increased threat. I mean, that's what Rockbiter already does. It is 100% increased threat already. That's what Rockbiter weapon does. I'm very positive. This is like not changed. 30% increased. Okay, that's new. 10% reduced damage. Okay, fair enough. That would be kind of OP, I guess. Gain 6% reduced chance to be critically hit. That's the main thing shamans were missing in classic WoW variations. Like, you could get what she calls it. So this 6% is what it does is to reduce critical hit, and that's where defense rating was like this whole talk and discussion in classic WoW. Is like shamans can't get defense capped, and some of the wardens have like mapped it out as like you can apparently in classic WoW with like Nax gear, I think, or I might be mistaking that with TBC once you're in Sunwell gear or something through defense rating to get uncrushable. But yeah, you can get critically hit immune basically in TBC and beyond. I guess they take that away in Kata, but the thing is you still get crushing blow unless it says something about that here. And Earthshock taunts target. I mean, Earthshock already kind of low-key taunts if you're using the highest threat. I mean, like, it's an actual guaranteed taunt this time, so And that would be like on a 5 second cooldown. I don't know if that's a shorter cooldown than other tank stunts, but okay. And a separate cooldown. Oh, it's a separate cooldown from like the other shock, so you could like Earth Shock into Frost Shock for like even more threat. That is interesting. Healing thing, Lava Lash. Yeah, we're not going to use Lava Lash for tanking.
But if that does happen, I will post updates and additional guide content to stay relevant. Your ideal chest rune for tanking on your Shaman will of course be Shield Mastery. Each time you block, you regenerate mana equal to 4% of your maximum mana, and you gain armor equal to 30% of your shield's armor value,
That's
stacking
huge.
up to 5 times.
What? Stacks 5 times? That would bring us about up to like the same armor as like a plate wearer, like Pally Warrior. I'm pretty sure with this going up to 5 stacks, if not even better. You also always gain 10% increased chance to block. Oh wow, okay, yeah. The more this like or more you block, the more like block chance you get. That's pretty huge, and the block value as well, because normally Shaman tank's block value is really like laughably pathetic compared to Warrior or Paladin's block value. So there's that. Brings that up to par with them.
Gain 10% increased block chance and 15 increased block value. This obviously is a really good mana regeneration and defensive rune, as long as you are, of course, wielding a shield, which we will be. Your ideal glove rune for tanking will be Molten Blast. Blast enemies in a cone in front of you for 46 to 61 fire damage. This ability generates a high amount of threat. And Flame Shock periodic damage has a 10% chance to reset the cooldown on Molten Blast.
Oh, so we're gonna be Earth Shocking. Since Earth Shock would be off the global, I mean, a different cooldown than other shocks, it would be Earth Shock, Fire Shock then to proc this, which would be like an AoE cone, like a cone of cold for mages, but like for Shaman tank. So you'd have to kind of aim this properly. It's even like kind of like warriors in Final Fantasy 14, where they've got like a frontal kind of cleave thing. So you have to like have decent positioning here. It's not gonna hit everything 360 around your character and hit things behind you. But I mean, yeah, it's a nice AoE thing. I mean, normally how you gain AoE threat would be through consumables, through chain lightning on pole, Earth Shock tab targeting, like with dagger. But okay, this makes it a bit easier to have like an actual built-in AoE threat thing, because like we have AoE through like fire totems, but those have their own separate threat tables from the Shaman. So yeah.
With this ability, we won't have to worry about mobs resisting our nature spells, and this will also help us keep aggro on the groups we roll. It will also incentivize players to spread their Flame Shock debuffs to hopefully get resets on multiple
tab target.
Sounds like pretty fun gameplay. Our legs slot rune will obviously be Way of Earth. While Rockbiter weapon is
we went over this
on your main hand weapon, you deal 100% increased threat.
So you get crit immunity, reduced damage by 10%, 30% increased. It's like kind of like a tank stance, I guess, for the Shaman tank. Like the threat here is like the same, I'm pretty sure, unless it's 50% in classic WoW. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 100% threat basically. Unless I'm thinking of Earthshock doing 2 times the threat, basically would be 100%. Yeah.
Gains 30% health.
And this goes on the chest, gloves, and pants. Wonder if there's a. This seems like the optimal build. I mean, I haven't seen all the other runes.
10% reduced damage. Gain 6% reduced chance to be critically hit by melee attacks, and Earthshock taunts your target to attack you. And Earthshock now has a separate cooldown from your other shock spells, but its range is now reduced to melee range. This is the rune that makes Shamans become the tank it's always wanted to be. With increased survivability and a dedicated taunt button with Earthshock, the only thing that we're now lacking is a separate spell for interrupting casts. Since Earthshock is also an interrupt.
At that point, you leave the kicking to someone who is a DPS. Like, let the rogues just manage the kicks instead of shamans like using their taunt to interrupt. I guess at this point, I don't know if do warriors get pummel. I haven't leveled one high enough, but I'm pretty sure they get pummel in classic. And then the CS or mages. Everyone else has like an interrupt. Basically, it seems in SOD. So I mean, the shaman shouldn't have to be worrying about using their Earthshock for interrupting.
Now be our taunt makes it an overloaded spell to use. So hopefully our threat generation won't be an issue to where we can actually use this to interrupt spells most of the time. An honorable mention rune I would probably say is Shamanistic Rage. Shamanistic Rage
Does
reduces
this
all
go?
damage.
What's this go on? Engraves your pants. This goes on chests, gloves. I don't know about that. Reduces all damage taken by 20% and regens mana. Like that you'd kind of want both of these, right? This one is just too good to like even take Shamanistic Rage. Like Shamanistic Rage is like an actual defensive cooldown for Shaman in TBC and Wrath, right? And I guess the DPS would use it for mana. Like I think DPS Shaman would use Shamanistic Rage over Way of Earth, and then vice versa. Tank would use this over this, because there doesn't seem to be any like threat onto, like, it's the same Shamanistic Rage, 20% from TBC reduced damage. So it's like that on like a 1 minute cooldown would be definitely like PvP DPS kind of deal. I don't think that would be warranted to be used for one of your tank runes for SOD. Because I don't see any like threat thing here. Like this gives too much. 10% reduced damage, crit immune, and what you call is it? 30% increased health. That's way better than this 1 minute cooldown that reduces damage taken by 20% and gives you like mana regen. Like at that point, just use like a boomkin or so like a mana battery for their innervate, and then Resto Shaman for their mana tide totem. That's what it's called.
That you take by 20%.
Because like that's the only main thing I can take away from this is like it would help with mana. But I mean at that point, Shaman is always a thirsty ass class. It's like you shouldn't, the fight shouldn't be that long, especially starting at level 25 to where you would warrant using Shamanistic Rage, in my opinion.
And you regenerate mana every second for 15 seconds. Mana regenerated per second is equal to 15% of your attack power, 10% of your spell power, or 6% of your healing power, whichever value is greatest. Since you can put runes on multiple items on the same gear slot, it would be beneficial to have Shamanistic Rage on a pair of pants to use the ability between pulls,
Yes.
or while you're out of combat to benefit from the mana regeneration buff it provides. Obviously, you'll want to swap your legs back before getting into combat, otherwise you risk dying if you don't have the Way of Earth equipped. With the Season of Discovery initial level cap being 25, we are also very limited on which talents we are able to take. It is also unclear if certain talents will also affect rune abilities that replace other abilities or empower your core spells. Talents will likely be updated to improve upon or interact with your runed abilities where it makes sense. That being said, Shaman is pretty clear on what path you should take for level 25, and respec once you have access to higher levels and more talent points later on down. We will mainly be sticking to the elemental tree to pick up needed damage increases and mana conservation talents.
No.
In the enhancement tree, the best value at level
So for enhance at level 25, how the build would go, it's 5 into shield spec, 5 for crits, 5 to dodge, and then let's see, that's 15 points. You got 10 more points left, right? So, it'd actually go 5 flurry for a threat, and then 5 armor, I guess, at that point. Wait, am I, yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20, and then we have 25. I guess you'd have enough for 26, right? Enough to go down into, so we would get 5 into toughness and then 1 into parry. That's what the build would be for the very beginning of SOD for Shaman tanking. Very similar to like, I mean, I guess I kind of skipped past this because I think I put points in a Ghost Wolf, I believe, for leveling. So yeah, 5. And you need 5 in here, yeah, 5. And then you need 5 to get this. And then, yeah, okay. Yeah. So this, and parry. Sounds about right.
25 would be shield specialization, though I foresee tank shaman going into deep enhance come later level increases. Convection helps us a lot as Earthshock and Flameshock are likely to be some of our most casted spells, and
Not
having
worth,
reduced mana cost on those spells will go a long way. Concussion obviously increases our damage, which in turn increases our threat
This is like the stuff for Ellie is like you want after you've gotten all your enhanced talents. Like you don't want to go like unless you're playing Wrath of the Lich King Shaman tank, you're not going Ellie right away.
Elemental Focus gives us a chance to go into clear casting state, which makes our next damaging spell free to cast. Self-explanatory for that one. Shield specialization interacted very well with the shield mastery rune,
Mm-hmm.
increasing your chance to block and the block value, which directly affects our mana regeneration and maintaining the defensive stacks generated from that rune. Normally on Classic WoW, we would want to play with a healthy balance of strength and agility as a melee DPS shaman. Although, since you will be wielding a shield, strength becomes more important as it directly affects your chance to block attacks. Intellect also plays an important role as it increases our mana pool size and chance to score crits with our spells. As a spellcasting tank, both strength and intellect will be our two most important stats, along with stamina, of
You
course.
kind of get
Though,
what you
if our
can get.
mana
It's classic
regeneration
WoW.
is
Like
good enough, we may
classic
be
WoW, you're not gonna be able to, unless there's like new gear, right? And SOD was like you're not gonna be able to specifically tailor your gear to be strength and int. Like you kind of just get what you get at level 25. Like I've leveled so many shaman tanks, is like you're mainly gonna have a bunch of leather gear that has like add gear strength on it. With like you're mainly prioritizing stamina really more than any of these, because like the Way of the Earth rune is just gonna like carry your threat already. Like Rockbiter and Earthshock on their own in normal classic WoW already carry your threat to where you don't need all these offensive stats. Like you just stack stamina basically at that point. Like it's gonna probably be the exact same stat priority in SOD, just stack stamina.
able to get away or get by with minimal intellect on their gear. So with that being said, a once underappreciated gear type will now be in demand for shaman tanks. I'm talking about of the gorilla gear. Gorilla gear
No.
has both strength and intellect, and for shaman tanks, these items will now be properly utilized. Some notable
Not gonna
items
need
in the
those.
game early on will be dropped from Wailing Caverns, including of course the Of the Fang gear set, as it gives strength, intellect, agility, and spirit on its item sets, and the set bonuses
Nice
work very
pair of legs,
well
but I
with
mean,
a
there's
shaman
something
tank.
with way more
Another
stam
notable
on there.
item
I
would
normally
be
don't pick
the
those up.
Seed Cloud Buckler, as it will serve as a great shield until you get the Commander's Crest from
I
Shadowfang.
didn't get that shield
The
either.
set bonuses for this set increase your nature damage, your healing done, and increases your intellect by a decent amount. Another notable set would be, of course, the Defias Brotherhood leather set from the Deadmines. The
Yeah,
2
that's
set gives an increase
good
in
actually.
armor.
Yeah, right there. That's
The 3
probably
set gives an
bits
increase
right
in
there
arcane
for level
resistance,
19.
which will help
Yeah.
in Black Fathom Deeps. And the 4 set gives an increase in dagger skill, which we'll talk about soon.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
And
be
the
using
5 set
daggers.
also gives you attack power.
Yeah.
There is no intellect on any of the pieces, but almost every piece of this set has strength on it. Shadowfang Keep drops a few items as pre
It's mainly the shield you want from
unless
here
of
and the
course
dagger from
there are changes to the
Argyle.
loot tables in Season of Discovery. Commander's Crest, as mentioned previously, the Silver Lane's Family Seal,
Yeah, that-
and the Butcher's Cleaver are
Don't need
all
Butcher's
great
Cleaver.
items
No,
from this
you want the
dungeon for
dagger.
Shaman tanks. Something that's actually worth noting is getting your hands on a pretty good dagger and
Yep.
then enchanting that dagger with Flame Tongue Weapon rank 2. This will help you squeeze out a little bit more damage when
No.
you're not currently tanking the boss. Or
Okay, yeah, sure. I was about to say no, you just stay Rockbiter, but I mean, sure, but I mean, at that point, if you're Shaman tank, you may as well be the main tank, like just Rockbiter, or at least, yeah, like if you're off tank, you may as well be second in threat, you know, in case something CC's the main tank, like a la UBRS, the Conflagrate on the main tank on last boss, the off tank picks it up.
or if you're just out in the world leveling and getting gear or farming.
No,
A
no, no,
notable-
no, 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 no. Rockbiter is only good. I mean, Flame Tongue is only good like really early on. I think it's like rank 1 is where it's the only time it's like better, or it might be rank 2. But then from then on, every other Flame Tongue is like actually weaker than Rockbiter in terms of like overall DPS output.
Notable
Even,
one
like,
would
questing
be
in
the
the open
Meteor
world.
Shard from Archmage Arugal in Shadowfang Keep. So since you're going to be in there anyway, getting your shield and your ring and your axe, might as well try and pick up the Meteor Shard as well, as it serves as a really good off-tanking weapon to squeeze out more
It's a main
damage.
tank weapon.
So you're going to be doing a lot more DPS. Then when you need to taunt or when you need to take the boss back, if there's a tank mechanic involved, all you need to do is equip your main hand axe or mace, put Rockbiter on it if it's not already there, and then
That's
press
really
Earthshock, and you're
unnecessary.
good to go.
It's gonna be level
For
25.
professions, I myself
Camp
would
the
likely be
dagger.
going leatherworking and skinning at first, considering there are a lot
Are
of
you gonna
notable
go to
recipes
engineering
that you can
after?
craft to get an edge on your gear.
That's
And
good.
since there
This guy's wrong here. This is what I did on Classic Hardcore. I went skinning and leatherworking so I could get my gear way earlier, just so I'm good on gear and I don't die. But it's like, for SOD, I guess it's not hardcore. So I don't know. I think I might just off the bat go engineering and like skinning for money making.
is at this point only a level cap and not a profession cap, We can utilize a lot of the strong items
Get
we
some
can get from
dummies and
crafting
shit.
professions.
Dummies help with tanking.
Once I have obtained the best items through
Grenades help with
leatherworking, like
AoE,
the
but I mean, I guess
earthen
we
leather
won't need it with
shoulders, the deviate
the
scale
cone move.
belt, and heavy armor kits, I will likely unlearn skinning and move on to engineering to get items like bright eye goggles, training dummies, and iron grenades to help me tank
Alright,
in
this guy
raids and
knows what's up.
dungeons. In Classic WoW, you can choose whichever profession you want. They offer some help, but aren't an end-all be-all. I have just mentioned which ones I think will be most helpful for your Shaman tank. As mentioned before, everything is subject to change, but I wanted to share some early insight on Shaman tanking going into the Season of Discovery. If things do change, I promise to revise the information and present new material that is current and up to date. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like button if you like it. Leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are going into the Classic Plus and what you're most excited about. Please subscribe and consider supporting my content on Patreon and twitch.tv/BarokoShama. I'll leave all the links like